Hello, everybody. There's a new blue at the club. Breaking news. Hudson O'Keefe has signed with the Carlton Football Club. Most of you watching this video have probably watched the training report. I remember seeing a guy out there with the number 32 on, obviously not Jackson Binns, but another one wearing number 32. He was a big boy, ruckman. I had no idea who he was. Turns out he's now on the list. So, Pommy, I think you might be the only person who has any intel on this guy. Help us out. Who is Hudson O'Keefe?
Well, I mean, it should have been easy to spot. If there's anyone out there who confused him with Jackson Binns, you can't think of two more opposite people. Jackson's small. This guy's the size of a house. But Hudson, Oakley Chargers, Ruckman, real. One of the big standouts for Hudson is his speed. So he is an incredibly quick boy. One of them guys that deceptively fast, 2.9 seconds for 20 meters, which when you're 202 centimeters, that's freak elite ability. Real strong ruckcraft as well. Someone that last year probably will consider himself incredibly unlucky not to go in the draft, because I would say as a pure ruckman, just his ruck capability one-on-one is up there with the best rucks that went through the draft this year, and probably superior to a lot who got picked up. Real bloomer as well throughout the year, was really tasty as the years went on. One of the things I'd say went against him was his ability on the deck. It was probably a little bit needed a bit of work per se. But when you look at the people that are on our list, he's probably a happy medium between TDK and Pitternet. He's very industrious in there. He loves to get that tackle in, that second and third. And you can see his tackles are quite high from where he was as a ruckman. They're fairly decent numbers. So the endeavour's there. And this says to me that Carlton maybe have a backup plan for TDK. That could be one of the things, thinking, you know what, get a year into a ruckman now, because they do take a lot longer. Strike while the iron's hot. Could be Murkoff, and the thinking, is he developing enough? But this kid here, definitely from what I've seen in the juniors, there's enough there to say to me, we don't need him today. Give him a development, get him in there, because this kid here certainly has some things that really do excite me with what Carlton are trying to build.
I'm glad you brought it up, because straight away my mind goes to one of two things. I think you and I had a conversation not long ago as well. I mean, Sam Philp has been placed on the long-term injury list, so that's, the other bit of news as well. So obviously this is not a like-for-like replacement for Sam Philp, nor is it a like-for-like replacement for Zach Williams. So naturally my mind goes to one of two places, and you've just mentioned one. Am I getting paranoid in saying that we're resigned to the fact that TDK might be gone? And if so, this would seem to be a proactive move. You're right. Get a year into a ruckman rather than waiting for the draft and hoping we sign TDK and sort of left with our pants down, so to speak. Or, I mean, I didn't see Mitch out there today. I didn't see Mitch out there in the last training session. So again, I'm just thinking, what's going on here? There's got to be a method to the madness. Nick Austin is a pretty shrewd mover. He knows what he's doing. Obviously, when you make a move like this, especially being left field, I don't think anybody saw this coming. I'm just curious. What does it actually mean? I'm curious for those watching at home. Did you think the same thing?
I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination TDK is gone, but I do think that that's probably going to be one of the hard ones to get done. Particularly if you believe Kane Cornes, which I'd never advise you to believe Kane Cornes, I might add. But he's obviously going to be a player of interest. We'd be foolish to believe that he isn't. Now, do I buy into he wants to play with his brother? I'm going to be honest. I'd be a little bit disappointed if any professional sportsman wanted to go and play with their brother. If that is a motivator, I question you as a sports person. And that's just me personally. But it would be negligent if there is an opportunity to put a year in someone, looking at the draft next year, unless Carlton tank, they ain't going to be around a ruckman that's year 1, year 2 ready. Hudson definitely has enough with his ruck ability that I wouldn't cry if he was about to play after 12 months of development. 202 and 90 kegs already. That's a pretty good size. There's ruckman around there. It's obvious Nick Austin has a penchant for tall ruckman as well. Murkoff, this guy, both over 200. There's obviously something there. Now, as a ruckman, this guy is incredibly good. Like, his ruckcraft is splendid. The things that you can teach, his aerial ability is a bit questionable. Like I said, on the deck, they're very things that I would expect Matty Cruiser to grab him under his ring. And a very similar player, I might add, to Cruiser as well. One of these guys that is deceptive. Like, when you watch him run, one of the things I noticed at Oakley is he's got the most weird run. And it's one of them ones where you look and you're thinking, I'd kill him in a 100-meter sprint. But then he hits top deck and he's top speed and you're like, Jesus. So there's some points of difference there straight away. And I like this because Carlton have been proactive. Now, it's a left field suggestion. Do you know what I mean? We have got a 90 keg, 202 ruckman to replace either Philp or Williams. Do you know what I mean? Opposite guys. But maybe Carlton think this was a guy maybe that was on the mid-season radar. They're going to get a 6-month start on really seeing where he is. And whether that's a Murkoff replacement, whether that's a TDK stopgap, or maybe it's TDK stays, Pitternet stays, and this guy's the guy that they're hoping pushes Pitternet out. And suddenly you've got two highly athletic ruckmen. That could be another medium, but I really like Hudson and what he's about. And I think, again, this is one of them ones where Nick Austin probably has a plan, and I think we can see his plan.
Okay. Well, good luck to the lad. Welcome to the club, I guess. It's going to be an interesting year for him. He'll play in the VFL for the most part, I would have thought. Murkov's obviously coming along as well. The one thing I will say about Murkov, when you watch him just do stoppages and his actual ruck craft in the air, it's exquisite. Obviously, the rest of his game needs to be a bit more rounded out, which I'm sure he's working on that. So it is what it is. 4 ruckmen on the list. Great. 2 of them probably can't play just yet in O'Keefe and Murkov. I wouldn't be totally confident just yet in Murkov. I think maybe 1 more year. But again, we'll see how his 2023 plays out. So we'll see what happens.
One thing that excites me on the Murkoff is seeing his development in 2022. Where at the start of the year, I was really questioning Nick Austin's sanity of giving this guy an extension. And I'm like, Jesus, this guy's bold. Seeing Murkoff take to Powers coaching, Cruiser's coaching, and seeing how he developed week on week was almost frightening in his ability to improve week on week. And you really saw he take to it. I'll tell you this now, if Hudson OKeefe can have output like that, an improvement, there'd be an outside chance that this guy could play AFL football round 1 2024. And that is my honest opinion, because this kid here is already halfway where Murkoff is. He's already there. He's a pure ruckman. He knows the craft. It's adding them layers. And you look at these weaknesses, stoppages on the deck. There's thousands of players at Carlton who are very good at that, who he's going to get 24/7 round the clock care. His ability in the air. We've got 4 of the best aerial players probably in the competition. So again, he's got some real good tutors. Carlton are in a position now where this is going to test the development. And this is a Geelong type deal. And if we want to model ourselves on that conveyor belt of development talent, this guy could be a real gem. And we look back and go, thank God Zach Williams got injured. If this guy is a ruckman in our 3rd flag.
Interesting. All right. Well, we'll see how it plays out. So as it stands right now, there are 2 players about to be on the long-term injury list. Zach Williams clearly is one. Sam Philp is the other. So I thought we'd talk about the other name that keeps popping up, and that is Alex Cincotta from the Carlton Reserves. So where do you see this playing out?
Well, when I look at the Photoshop as well, I was actually thinking the perfect person to replace. I could have just got Riley Starray to stand in, because he's got a look of Riley in that picture. I didn't think, I was like, have I stolen his Facebook picture? But Cincotta, we know, 26 years old, was really a standout. And a lot of people were talking about him in the mid-season draft. I remember we covered him a little bit, playing the identical position to Zach Williams and the guys that probably where the hole is. A little bit older than what you'd expect, but I kind of like that. I remember when we talked on the Blue Abroad show, I said the last thing I want to see is a baby. I don't want to see an 18-year-old, someone like Luke Teal, because suddenly he's got to be the second cab off the rank, you'd imagine, if there is another injury, heaven forbid. Now, he's grinded away in VFL. The numbers last year, splendid. These stack up. The question mark with Alex will be there, as opposed to Markov, is Markov is AFL ready. He's played AFL, albeit, yes, he's been delisted. Yes, he hasn't quite succeeded, but he has been there and done it. Alex is on the different end of the spectrum. He's been in VFL, been in state level football, but that doesn't mean he can't do it. But that is probably the unknown. They're the two unknowns. Can he perform? And then what's his level at there? With Markov. But great for our VFL, because suddenly Carlton are becoming a bit like Box Hill Hawks. There is an opportunity to be on an AFL list, which helps the recruitment there, gives you a second crack at the draft, because these draftees will suddenly see Carlton as, you know what, if I go there, maybe my career's not over. So very good, very deserving. And he's a very industrious player, great leg speed. One of the most untalked about things, and I think this is where he's got a huge advantage over someone, say, like Zach Williams, is his aerial ability is incredibly strong as well. He's got a real high leap. He isn't scared to get up the back of someone and take that hanger as well. He's a very good defender as well. I would say defensively, probably more sound than Zach Williams. And I think Zach Williams would agree. I like this if it's an acquisition. I'd say right now, Carlton are in a situation where this guy knows the system. The VFL play the same way, so it's not like you're going to have to teach him anything structurally. He's been there and he's done it. Probably when you look at the VFL as well, he probably has Zach Williams' role. They all play roles, what the senior team do, and mimic them in training. So probably a like for like, good size. And for Alex, it's probably his last opportunity at his age. If he doesn't make the grade now, he ain't ever making the grade. So he's going to be hungry, raring to go. And when you combine it with Jacob Wheaterin's words, there is a hole, and a hole creates opportunity. He paraphrased Lewis Young last year and how he took it. Cincotta will be thinking, you know what? I'm ready. I'm bigger than Lockie Cohen in the terms of maturity. I'm more mature. I've been there and done it. This isn't his spot. This is my spot. I've done the hard yards. So I'm excited by this one and seeing where it goes.
Yeah, I guess it comes down to his belief in his ability and what he's able to do. I mean, yeah, I've only really seen him in spurts throughout the reserves last year, and he's definitely someone that always stands out. I mean, when I talk to Paul Sebastiani, he always mentions his name. He's been big on him for a while.
That's
Joe loves him as well.
You can pronounce it.
Yeah, I was just saying, Joe Adamo says good things about him as well. Then I've realized 2 Italians, another Italian, just bigging each other up. But no, I think I like the idea of this one. I mean, I guess it's just tough. It's this is all born out of a situation that nobody wanted to happen, and that is Zach Williams getting injured. So it's kind of like Zach Williams, then it's okay, who's the best of the rest? It seemed to be Markov, and then it's like, okay, who's the next best of the rest? So I don't know. But again, as you said, a hole in the list means an opportunity for somebody else that wouldn't have it elsewhere. And I wish these boys the best of luck. Now, Alex Cincotta has not been announced on the list just yet. We're just speculating that his name's been floated around a lot. So thought we'd cover him somewhat. Do you see another left field move coming? Like, is there anybody else out there in, free agency land or around there that I don't even know who's available, if I'm honest?
Well, I think the Hudson one maybe screams that, like I say, maybe I thought he was stiff not to get on the list. And I thought some of the teams may take him late. A few ruckmen slid, and teams that were expected to take ruckman didn't. So that could have played into it, that maybe Nick Austin was like, you know what, we'll earmark this guy for the mid-year. See what he does in state level football, see how he develops, maybe take the punt then. Because Nick Austin's probably at the best football club in the world. You're guaranteed to have a mid-season pick because someone's going to get injured. So for Nick Austin, his brain will be like, I'll get a pop. Now, with Sam Philp being injured, there's probably a great argument here that Cincotta isn't probably priority number one. And maybe Nick Austin may ascertain what the injury status and the fitness status is of Marchbank, McGovern. Nick Newman seems to never be injured, but I mean, obviously keep an eye on that. And maybe say, I've got the depth, I've got the strength. Sam Walsh is 4-6 weeks away into the season. Sam Doherty, worst case, can go back there. Suddenly we've got a lot of depth down there. could be that one. And he goes, you know what, we'll have a look at mid-season. But like I say, for me, Cincotta is the guy. If you are going to pick someone now with Markov gone, he's mature. And one thing about him is since his draft age, which was like, 8 years ago now, it's a long time ago, his VFL and his state league football, he is really putting in development. I actually went back and watched some under 18s footage of him before we did this video while I was having my dinner. Looking at him from Geelong to now is scary in how hard he has worked. And I know Danny Frawley in his draft year was super keen on him. He was his coach at Country, was like, this kid's special. He's the modern day halfback. And he was right, because nowadays everyone is built like Cincotta in the league. So definitely someone who's grafted. And at the end of the day, that's probably what Carlton want. They want someone who's a grafter, because I think this guy probably could have a Jordan Boyd-esque impact in he's earned the stripes. He's earned the stripes. He's done it the long and hard way. And it's a great story for Lockie Cohen and players like that to see. It's not as easy as getting picked in the top 30. Some of us have to work hard. So I'm happy if he comes. If he's not, I'm also happy because it means we get a mid-season pick. But that's Nick Austin's call. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Carlton in the next couple of days announce Alex.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it plays out. Pommy, appreciate you jumping on such short notice and giving us the info that we needed.
Cheers, mate. Hey, my pleasure.
Peace out. Go Blues.
Go Blues.